Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so from what I understand, Austin Reaves is still someone the Lakers are holding on to. They're not interested in trading him in any deal. He is untouchable, according to the reports that are out right now, which is basically the reports I've been hearing the entire time. I'm happy with that as a Laker fan, of course, because I think it's almost unanimous. Not everybody agrees on anything, but a very good portion of Laker nation has no interest in moving Austin. That doesn't mean there isn't a good deal out there that you would involve him in. It just doesn't seem like anything that's actually would come about in real life. You know, that kind of thing. So it's like, since Giannis ain't on the board, since Luka's not being traded, we're not interested in giving him up for Zach LaVine, DeJounte Murray, and that kind of thing. We're not tossing him in those deals. Now, if something crazy happens, if the Spurs just want to give us Wembanyama, then of course we'll throw him in the deal for that player. But, you know, it has to be something like that. It would literally have to be a Kevin Durant type deal to make us say, okay, Austin is included. And that's me saying that. Maybe even the Lakers don't feel that way, you know. And I know why. It's because his contract's amazing. In comparison to what it is you expect him to be over the next several years, he signed a contract that's basically half of what he's worth. And so I think his contract's one of the best in the league. And on top of valuing the player, we really value the contract. So yeah, I'm on board. I don't want to give up that contract. That thing is worth a lot more than what we've seen it become as of yet. So unless we're getting back something ridiculous, we should value it much higher than what the field will let us believe they value it. Once they get it, they're going to hold it in that same vein, I believe. Unless he starts wearing down with some type of injuries, or he regresses in such a way that makes sense. But even if he regresses from where he's at, that still seems like a good deal to me. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. I'm definitely happy with this. And shout out to Austin Reaves for being intelligent enough to know what will really secure him in a spot like LA. You know what I mean? If you really value where you are and what you're doing in that place, you got to make it so that it's unlikely the team will want to move the contract. And that's the tough part for a lot of players, because you want to take all the money in the world, but once you sign to a bad contract, the team's going to be looking to move you. You know, once you know, if you don't live up to absolutely what they expected, they're going to get you up out of there, man. If they can. So, like, guys like Duncan Robinson will tell you, yeah, I'm sure he was happy with his money, but, like, he had to sit on the Heat bench for, like, 2 years because they were afraid to play him because they couldn't move the contract. Guys like Gordon Hayward been stuck in Charlotte for years, you know what I mean? Couldn't get moved. Look at Zach LaVine, can't get moved. Even to a team that would love to have him, they cool because the contract's so bad. It's like, if you value money like that, then you're happy. If that's where you value money, you're happy. But if you really value what you're doing on a basketball floor and you don't value money in the same way that maybe someone else will, you're going to be unhappy with that. You're going to be rich and unhappy in that situation, in your careers, your prime years, of when you want to be on the court showing how good you are. You'll never be seen because of the business of basketball. So that's why it always makes sense to do what's best for you, for what matters most to you, and to be able to have representation that you trust to advise you properly, you know. And we speak of Dennis Schroeder. Reports came out that he said that that $83 million that he left on the table with the Lakers was something that his representation advised him of. I don't know why that information came out now, several years later. I guess it's right before the Lakers played the Raptors, so that makes it relevant. But he's had 2 stints with the Lakers, and I thought they went pretty solid, especially the last one. We were very happy with him. But this just goes to speak to what I'm saying. You know, you want your representation to advise you correctly. He was not going to get that type of money on the market. He should have most definitely taken that $86 million contract, and just the same, the Lakers should most definitely not have offered him that. So we dodged the bullet, and he caught it, unfortunately. That's kind of how that goes. But Dennis Schroeder's a hell of a player, man. He just kind of let bad representation trick him out of his position with real generational wealth, and he hasn't been able to recoup that. Not to that degree, and probably will not. It's unfortunate, man. But, you know, representation believes in you. You believe in yourself. So, of course, you're going to think more of what your market could be. But I hope others are learning. You look, a guy like Pascal Siakam, he's rolling the dice. He's rolling the dice, not being willing to sign for anything less than whatever his price tag is at this point. From what I understand, he's pricing himself a bit high to be re-signed with the Raptors or really anywhere else. You know, basically saying he's only going to go in the open market, doesn't want to get settled into a team. When you've only been with the Raptors, even though he's a two-time All-Star NBA champion, you want to get enriched in your next situation. However, you don't want to just sign any old deal. So I get it. It can go a lot of different ways. Maybe you mess around and find out he can get overpaid. He takes less and ends up regretting it. There's a lot of different ways. There's no perfect science to this, but it just seems to me that he would want to go to a team where he's going to be showcased and he can win. And Sacramento is one of those places. The problem is Sacramento only wanted to do the deal if he was going to resign. I don't know that I would want to be signed with Sacramento either if I'm Pascal. But I also don't know that I don't play my value up so high when I'm there that I can play myself into more money. But, you know, you want to definitely have a deal in place if you're Sacramento, if that's what you're prioritizing. So it's just a lot of things. I think teams are, you know, and players are trying to do their best to value things properly. But at the end of the day, you can really trick yourself out of your best situation. Price tagging yourself either too high or playing yourself too low, you know. And so it is no perfect science. And a guy like Pascal Siakam still knows he can go for 39, 8 and 8 and that kind of thing. He knows he can go up to a high level, especially if he's featured. So I don't blame him for wanting to go to a situation where he's secure. But you know, or rather put himself in a position to where he can play the open market. I think that's a more way of putting it. But I don't know. I think if I'm Sacramento, I probably, depending on what they were willing to give up, probably like, from what I understand, they were willing to give up like Harrison Barnes. Keegan Murray was not involved in the deal. I don't know what else was in the deal, but it was centered around Harrison Barnes and maybe some draft equity. I don't know that I'm willing to give up draft equity for that situation there. But I do think that if you get Pascal Siakam in your uniform and don't give up the core of Fox and Sabonis and Murray, Monk would also be someone I'd want to keep as well. If I can keep those players on the team, you know, I move a Davion Mitchell for Pascal Reno at this point. He's not developing properly there. Probably want to keep Kevin Huerter. Yeah. So I understand, depending on what the trade was, I can understand why Sacramento would be cool. I think that's where Sac's coming from. Like, if you can't secure him staying, the package Masai Ujiri's going to want is probably not the package you should be willing to give up. So if that's the way they're coming from, I get it. I agree. But if it was just about him if they didn't mind giving up what they had to give up for a rental and they just weren't willing to do it because he was a rental, which kind of doesn't make any sense when I say it out loud, then, you know, that might have been a mistake because they could probably play themselves into a championship this year, or at least a higher seeding Western Conference Final, something like that. I think they could have been good enough to do something like that with Pascal and Sabonis and Fox. Those are really, really serious pieces surrounding Pascal Siakam. You know, surrounding Sabonis and Fox, but you get the point. That makes him look great with those guys next to him. So I kind of, like, if I'm Pascal, I kind of do want to go to Sacramento. I just don't necessarily want to commit to them for whatever the contract would be, because maybe when doing so, I might be playing myself out of that big contract. But I also might be signing up for something I don't want to sign up for. Maybe I don't want to live with Sac. I don't know what his preference is. But who's to say Sac doesn't pay you your money? You know, who's to say that the team that you're going to is going to value you more than Sac? If they see you help them to a championship, they'll pay you whatever you want. So I don't know. My mind goes to the Pascal Siakam situation, because I do think of his situation similar to what Dennis Schroeder is faced with, to where he's not taking money. He's not just taking what's in front of him. He's betting on himself in a different way, but it's the same idea. and that can go either one way or another, and sometimes it goes another, you know. So yeah, I encourage everybody to check out my Spicy P video I did yesterday. We talked about it for like 25 minutes. But his situation is very curious because it's just one of those things where he really does have the cachet and the respect of being with one organization and having won with that organization to demand a bit more than somebody who has the same stats as him who hasn't done those things. Championship puts some dollars on your name, puts a little more power on you. But the problem that he's running into is many people are going to argue he had nothing to do with the championship, even though obviously he did. But they're going to say it's Kawhi Leonard. So they're going to dock him for that. But when you look at what Fred VanVleet got from the Rockets, and you can argue his role was bigger than Fred's, then I can understand why he probably didn't want to settle. I can understand that. So I just don't know how many places he can go. It becomes situational as it pertains to his position. You know, power forward only. Tall, but not really big enough to play the center position consistently. So it's like it's a lot of stuff that goes on there that you're like, Pascal, I don't know, brother. I don't know, man. It might be easier for me to invest in a Fred VanVleet at the point guard position than maybe it is to invest in a power forward. You know, if I'm a lot of these teams. So I don't know if that's a good way to measure it if he is looking at it that way. But all in all, man, I just, you know, hope to see players get what they're hopeful for. A lot of times you see players be in this situation and get overpaid, you know. The market opens up in such a way they get everything they want. So you just got to have good representation, and you got to be able to read the market properly for yourself. And so, yeah, man, that's pretty much what's on my mind, man. I made a Clipper video earlier bashing them to hell. I just don't like their franchise, man. I got a million different reasons why I don't like them. Encourage everybody to go check out that video too. But yeah, man, that's what's on my mind, man. That is it. VDL 44. I thank you all for watching.